I don't have one of these at home.
Because you're an R2 addict.
I know. I want to look at all the sides of him. He's a great.
Yeah.
You do have an R2 at home.
He does.
He does.
The Moff Gideon premium roleplay helmet.
Woo!
There we go.
Rated.
We should do all reveals like that from now on.
Yes. All helmets on Chris.
Yeah.
Lit up red. That's
like underlit red.
yeah, blowing up on the side. That's where you put the batteries.
It's an early model.
Has Chris been drinking?
Yeah, and one last thing, everybody take a close look at the belt. That is a brown belt on this character.
Yes.
Belts.
He has been drinking.
Our first reveal today is Princess Leia
Okay.
from Star Wars.
All right, let's
A New
go.
Hope.
That's right.
All right, she
And
looks
our
good.
whole team was so thrilled to bring our
Okay.
princess to life in this
Nice.
New Hope costume for the
What are we
vintage
waiting for?
collection, ensuring that it's really firm and it's not going to bend on you.
And it is a big one.
That was quite a mouthful. Ugh. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, can you put it like close to your hand? I want to see how big it is.
Welcome back to the channel. This is episode 91 of Brett on Fett. And this past week on Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, Hasbro had another Star Wars live stream. They're calling this series of live streams the Imperial March. And they had some pretty interesting reveals this time, including the big reveal of the all-new Princess Leia figure from A New Hope. And I've been very excited to get a look at that one. So I want to give my quick thoughts on some of these reveals from the live stream. And after that, I've got a few interesting pickups to share. So let's get to it. All right, so let's start off with the Black Series reveals first. Now, they showed this new hologram figure. This is the Darth Maul from his Season 7 look, made to a hologram figure. The packaging looks cool. I just don't know about these. I've seen them in stores, and I'm just not feeling them at all. They look pretty cool when they show them on these rendered images with the light and everything. And you know, I applaud them for trying to get creative and reusing, molds they already have in a creative way, I guess. But I'm just not feeling these. I don't know if anybody's buying these and enjoying these. Let me know in the comments if you are a Black Series collector that does like these hologram figures. But I think they're just kind of jumping the shark, so to speak, when they start putting more and more of these out. Next up, Black Series went all in on the new upcoming show, The ACOLYTE, revealing 5 all-new figures, starting with Jedi Master Soul. And it's a pretty good looking figure overall. I see a lot of potential for future Jedi figures using this mold. And the face is a pretty good likeness to the actor, although I think they went a little overboard with the frowny part of his face. I know the actor kind of looks like that when he's serious, but it just seems like they went overboard with that frown. Next up was Padawan Jeki Lawn, and it looks like a pretty good figure. I don't see any issues there. Likeness seems pretty good compared to the way she looks in the trailer, so, pretty solid figure. Then there was Jedi Knight Yord Fendar, and he also looks pretty good. The hair mold looks pretty excellent, actually. Then there was Jedi Master Indara. This is the character played by actress Carrie-Anne Moss, and so there's going to be a lot of, focus on the likeness for this one, and I'm not sure they nailed it. Just can't quite put my finger on it, but something about this figure looks a little bit off to me. And finally, from the ACOLYTE was May the Assassin. This is by far my favorite ACOLYTE reveal for the Black Series. I think this figure looks really good. A lot of cloth goods there with some soft plastic use. Kind of reminds me of the recent Vintage Collection Revan, where they had that combination. And she's got a lot of good weapon accessories there as well. And so once again, we see Hasbro doing a great job with the Black Series by putting out a bunch of the main characters from a new TV series all at once, rather than just giving us 1 or 2 like they do with TVC, and then maybe releasing another 1 or 2 down the road sometime. Then they revealed a roleplay item for the Black Series. This is the Moff Gideon helmet, and it does look really cool with the rendered images. However, with the prototype they showed in person, I thought it looked really cheap. Now, it is a prototype, so maybe the finished product will look a lot more refined. But to me, it looked like the one they brought out on stage for the live stream looked like one of those cheaper option helmets that are geared towards kids, and not the product we've come to know for the Black Series is typically more detailed and has a premium quality feel to them. That being said, we should withhold judgment until the final product is actually revealed. For the Black Series pipeline reveals, we had Dedra Miro. Once again, Black Series dominating TVC when it comes to Andor releases. I know a lot of TVC collectors that would love to have Dedra Miro in the collection. Then there's the Imperial Armored Commando from Mandalorian Season 3. This is one of my biggest wants for the Vintage Collection. So at least if it comes out in the Black Series, that's going to help its chances for coming out in the Vintage Collection as well. Then there was Ahsoka Tano in her Peridia look, aka Ahsoka the White. This was not a shocker at all that they would be releasing this figure. Then there was Captain Enoch and a Night Trooper in a 2-pack. That's going to be a very cool release. Of course, TVC already had announced that 4-pack that included Enoch, which was kind of weird that he was included. But anyways, good to see for Black Series that they're getting those characters. And finally, a Yoda and Clone Commander Greed 2-pack inspired by their comic book appearances together. I don't know what to make about this. They said it's based on their comics, but they will have a realistic interpretation. So I assume these are just going to be repaints and they're just going to make the colors consistent with the comics. Not sure about this one. Seems like an odd choice for a comic book inspired 2-pack. Those two characters together are most famous from the Order 66 scene from Revenge of the Sith, and not so much from the comics in my opinion. Alright, moving on to the Vintage Collection, and let's just dive straight into the biggest reveal of the live stream, and that was the Princess Leia Organa from A New Hope. I have been very anxious to see what they're going to do with this classic original hero character, and I don't think they disappointed. I think she looks great. I was hoping that maybe they could work in some cloth goods onto this figure, but seeing her like this with the plastic goods, it's pretty evident that this was the way to go. The cloth goods, you couldn't have gotten the ripple effect, for example. And Hasbro did come out and say that they tried to make it work with cloth goods and it just didn't look right. And, you know, this would never happen, but it would be nice if Hasbro could pull back the curtain a little bit and actually show us what that cloth goods prototype may have looked like, just so we could see. It just kind of drive the point home that this was the right choice. But I do trust them that they wanted to put out the best Leia they could and that this is the way they had to go. I like that they are including both her original blaster pistol and a Stormtrooper E11 blaster, so you can reenact both scenes where she uses weapons in the movie. And I also like the hooded option that you can wear over her head or have the draped hood on her back, although it does make things a little bit awkward on the card back bubble having that accessory on the side. Overall, I'm very happy we're finally getting this classic main hero, and she looks great. I think she'll do well. Next up, to go with that Leia, they announced they are reissuing that VC-149 R2-D2. However, they're reissuing him with a clean look versus the original release had that way too dirty, weathered look, which I never liked. That was always my biggest complaint about that figure, is they were giving us this classic clean R2-D2 card back, the image of him from the ceremony at Yavin, and then they packed in this really dirty version. I mean, he was so dirty he could almost be passed off as a Dagobah R2 in my opinion. So they just went overboard with that weathering. So I was always asking for a clean version of R2 on that card back, and so that's what they're giving us. And so in that sense, I am very happy with this re-release. There is a big disappointment that it's not an all-new R2-D2 mold, although, you know, take some comfort in the fact that they're not using that R2 mold that was reused for VC-234. This is the other mold that was VC-149, and I think, in my opinion at least, it is a much better mold. So I'm okay with this. It's going to look good on display. Is he the definitive R2-D2? Probably not. Maybe that'll come later. I don't know. But if this is all they could afford to give us, you know, I'm fine with it. It is an improvement from what we got before. Next up, we did get 2 reveals from the new series, the Acolyte. You know, it's TVC, so they can't ever give us more than a couple of characters from new media at a time. And so up first is the Jedi Master Soul, and he looks really good. I'm happy with this one. I think they did a better job with the face than the Black Series. The frowning is just not as pronounced. I know that's a really strange thing for me to focus on, but it really was just turning me off on the Black Series figure. And I think on this one, it just looks way better. And so very happy with this. And like I mentioned, the Black Series, they should be able to use this figure mold for future Jedi. And finally, from the Acolyte, they revealed the Vintage Collection version of May the Assassin, and she looks very good as well. Not quite as good looking as her Black Series counterpart in my opinion, but definitely good enough for 3 3/4 scale. and she comes with all the same accessories the Black Series version comes with. So, it's a very cool looking figure. I just really hope the ACOLYTE turns out to be a good show, because that will make collecting these figures more enjoyable, and of course they'll sell better, less peg warming, which is better for everybody. They also revealed the packaging for the new Jabba the Hutt action playset for the Vintage Collection, and they showed the front and the back, and it looks very good. Very happy with the packaging here. And they revealed the packaging for the 2 carded figures that the playset will be coming with. Of course, you have the 8D8, and then you have the Salacious B. Crumb on the little mini card, exactly like he came in that SDCC exclusive, except it's going to say Return of the Jedi instead of Revenge of the Jedi, and they're adding an A to the VC number designation. For the Vintage Collection pipeline reveals, we're getting a Jetpack Trooper from Jedi Survivor. He looks pretty cool. I'm sure they want to get more and more use out of the new Stormtrooper mold, so I'm sure a lot of that will be used towards this one. And we're getting a Grand Admiral Thrawn, the live action version from the Ahsoka series. This was not a surprise at all, but a very welcomed addition, especially to Thrawn fans such as myself. So looking forward to seeing that. Then they announced this 4-pack of X-Wing pilots, although they showed an image of Snowspeeder pilots from Empire Strikes Back. I don't know how Hasbro continues to screw up some of these pipeline reveal images and descriptions. So there was some confusion over whether these are going to be Snowspeeder pilots or X-Wing, but Emily did say X-Wing pilots. And so I think it's just a simple mistake on the part of whoever puts these images together. Maybe they've never actually watched Star Wars and they just work for Hasbro as a graphic design person. And then next, I think the biggest reveal for the TVC pipelines is a Blurg is coming. This is awesome. The community has been asking for more creatures and specifically asking for a Blurg. I think he was my #1 choice for new creatures in the line on a video I did a couple of months ago or so. So I'm very happy to see they're doing a Blurg. It seems like it would be a fairly easy one to do. I only hope that the Mandalorian that he comes with has the barbell hips and can easily ride the Blurg properly. So we'll see how that turns out, but I have very high hopes for this one. And last but not least, they announced another playset for TVC, this being Moff Gideon's Imperial Light Cruiser hallway playset. I think this is a cool choice because people could use it for just general Imperial hallways for different films and TV shows. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. It's interesting that they said it's going to come with a Mandalorian privateer. So I think that would be one of Axe Wove's people from the season 3 Mandalorian. But that's fine. I like my Mando figures, but most likely I wouldn't be using it to display those Mandalorian privateer troopers. I'd more likely be using it for Dark Troopers and Din Djarin and Moff Gideon, that sort of thing. But I think it would also look good with just any Imperials from any Star Wars film. And before we go, just a few pickups. Amazon recently had a sale on the Dark Trooper for under $10. Unfortunately, they only limited it to 2 per order, and I meant to order more, but I forgot, so I only got 2 additional Dark Troopers, unfortunately. And I just wanted to show that I tried to customize this HK droid. I threw a robe on him. I think that's from Ayla Sakura. Got a little thread here I need to take care of. Didn't notice until I started filming this. But I think he looks pretty cool. It's just something to give him a little uniqueness compared to the other HK droid I have posed next to him. So just thought I'd share that with you guys. But let's get these all off the table and look at some of the other pickups I got. So I noticed the other day on Walmart.com they had this Boba Fett Funko Pop on sale, and so I went ahead and picked him up. I didn't even realize this one existed because, I'm not a big Funko collector. It's only recently that I started picking him up. And of course, he's in the vintage Kenner colors, so I had to have this one. And I picked up this interesting Japan Tomy Boba Fett and Han Solo in Carbonite. They released several of these little miniatures, and they're pretty interesting. I think these came out, must have been around 2002 or 2003. You can see some of the other ones they had there on the packaging. Of course, the Boba Fett Carbonite was my favorite, so I went ahead and picked this up from a Facebook live sale. And I just like the little detailing on this. It's a pretty good little miniature here. So I might actually take this to my office and just something to put on, my desk at work. But I just thought it was pretty cool that these came out. I never knew this existed. And finally, I picked up this Gentle Giant animated style maquette of Bosk. And I got this also from a Facebook live sale. It's obviously used. The packaging is a little bit scraped up, but the statue itself is in perfect condition. And it's really cool. I have that animated Boba Fett. I'll bring him out in just a second. So I've been wanting to get another bounty hunter in an animated style. So when I saw this Bosk at a decent price, I jumped on it. And he's really cool. This, of course, is the Clone Wars version of Bosk. So he's much different looking than the live action version we all know from Empire Strikes Back. But I still think it's pretty cool. And here's the animated Boba Fett next to him. Now, I was a little bit disappointed. I didn't think this through that much, but the animated Boba Fett is a different line from the Bosk. The animated Fett is more of a Tartakovsky 2D Clone Wars style, which has a really awesome look to these guys. And so, this is one of my favorite pieces in my collection. But the Bosk I got is just from their Clone Wars line. So it's based literally off the look of the Clone Wars 3D. And so it's not the same artistic style. And I just didn't think that through too much, so I'm a little bit disappointed. They don't necessarily go together, but still, he's a very unique and really awesome looking version of Bosk, so happy to add this to my collection. Thanks for checking out this video. Thank you so much to my subscribers. Don't forget you can also follow me on Instagram and on X. Take care, and we'll see you next time.